Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me for something crazy. We're here in upstate New York to meet up with Kris from Team LoanSharks, who has a collection of some insanely extreme cars. We're talking all modified. In fact, come on in, we'll have a quick look here at the car cave before having a full tour around and taking one out for a drive. But we're talking Novitec N-Largos, we're talking modified AMGs, Ferraris. Look around here. This SVJ, I heard recently on the Lamborghini Paramus run, mind-blowingly loud with the Balboni exhaust. We've got the RENNtech SLS Black Series. We've got the trio of N-Largos, the 488, the F12 and the 720S. We've got an 80s 500SL, the CL65. There's a story behind that design on the Edition 1 G63. We will talk about that in a moment. And we've got the recently modified to over 1,000 horsepower GT Black Series. We're gonna have a few startups. It's gonna get loud, so Kris will be here in a moment. We'll have a full look around and then take something out.
Hey Shmee.
How's it going?
It's good, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. What an eclectic, wild, crazy selection of cars.
I appreciate that. There's a story with each and every one of these.
I mean, N-Largos, like nothing standard, right? Nothing.
No, there's nothing standard or stock about any of these. And you're intimate with one of them because you got a chance to drive. We got a chance to drive together with this one with
Indeed.
your Ford GT.
It's crazy to think how fast time has flown by, but I'm sure some people watching will remember the day that in the Ford GT on fuel run up towards Monterey Car Week.
Very memorable.
Drove with you in the N-Largo 720S, which maybe should be the one we pick to head out with. In a moment, we'll see.
Maybe it's time for you to reunite with that.
And then obviously recently, your SVJ, and I didn't fully appreciate at the time, we've got to talk about this, I didn't fully appreciate on the run that we did with Lamborghini Paramus how bespoke this spec is.
It is. It's actually one of the most expensive coupes in the US, I believe, that was produced, mainly because everything you see here in terms of the paint scheme was done by Lamborghini.
It's all ad personam. I'm sorry to say I incorrectly assumed it was vinyl, but this is all painted.
That is all paint, and we incorporated, you know, Lamborghini's standard kind of hexagon. Yes, throughout the car. And the other interesting fact, which I don't know if your camera can see, this is a one-off special red carbon fiber all throughout the car. It's all the red. So in the sunlight, it almost looks like a rainbow.
I hadn't fully taken it in. I was so overwhelmed that day with everything and the painted SVJ logos. You've gone completely with every possible detail.
And of course, the only thing that is not from Lamborghini is the Balboni gold-tipped exhaust on there. But maybe we can get to that later.
Yeah, my ears are very aware of this exhaust because they heard plenty of it.
Yeah.
What kind of got you into, you know, heavily modifying things? Where did that start?
You know, I think it's just a quest to be different. It's not that these cars in and of themselves are not different, but it's just a quest to go one step further and be a little more outrageous and special, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, which is what's drawn me to the N-Largos, of course. Absolutely, and we have a shared passion in the form of the Black Series. We do. That's why I'm excited to have you here, because we do share a passion, I believe, for AMGs. That is, the AMGs are what I drive daily. I have a G-Wagon. Of course, without all the stickers on it, but that's getting headed for Gold Rush Rally. But G-Wagon for the winter time, and I have a GT63S, which are all RENNtech modified for the summertime. But
is this R1 package, or is it even further? RENNtech.
It's even further. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This has the you know, obviously the ECU, TCU. It also has the full RENNtech exhaust on it, HRE wheels, but. Yeah, this is, you know, I'm a AMG person by heart, and this was, for me, very special because it was the first kind of special AMG project car that I actually obtained. Okay. So this has a special place in my heart. Yeah, and obviously, as we both know, seriously rare cars, only 350 of them to begin with. Correct. So it's very cool to have surprisingly, they have gone up in value. So, yeah, it's good times. It is good times. Yeah, when it goes up, it's good, right? We're lucky. And of course, the newest car in the stable, the GT Black Series, which is quite a different car than the SLS. But completely. Yeah.
The way I've described it is this is like your dynamic GT, and this is your proper track car. Proper track car, correct. Serious track car. And you've done all the details, and you've actually painted some of the orange details. Correct, yes. So I did, this is a wrap. So originally this is the gray Magneto, but I wanted it darker, so this is a black wrap. But all the orange paint scheme that you see on it is paint with the exception of the louvers here. And what I wanted to do was
actually, you know, match the orange. As you know, you can only get so many variations, right? I think they only had 2 or 3.
Yeah, they're just the orange or the gray.
So I wanted to incorporate orange around the outside of the car as well.
And you've done the orange cage.
And I've done the
which
orange
is all
cage.
part of the upgrades.
Yes, yes.
So in a second, I think we're going to have to hear this, because as I understand it, you've not yet heard it.
This got dropped off yesterday when we were on the rally, so I have not heard it, nor have I driven it.
So we'll get to that in a second.
All right.
So I think, you know, we've got 3 more Mercs here.
We
Start
do.
From the back corner.
We'll start. Well, actually, if you don't mind, let me start with this one. This is probably by far the specialist car in the collection, not by its looks, not by what it is and what it means to me. You know, when I eventually was able to afford cars that I like, and I was an AMG person by heart, this was the first car I ever bought in a showroom, right off, brand new, 0 miles. It's probably one of the lowest CL65 mileage AMGs. This is 2005. One of the lowest miles, I think, around.
Okay.
It's only 11,000 miles on this car.
But that was kind of your first new car from a dealer.
First new car, and I'm sure you know about this car, but this car, when I bought it, I would actually race Lamborghinis, and because if you don't see the V12 bi-turbo on this car, you don't know what's underneath the hood. And this is blistering fast, you know, in a straight line.
Yeah, that's cool. Something a bit different next to it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah. This is pay homage, right? So if you're a true AMG person, you know that at one time AMG was just a little tuning company in Germany, and so this is what you'd call a pre-merger AMG, and this is a '83 500 SL, and it has the fully documented conversion of AMG in Germany. So we're talking about the tuning on the engine, the exhaust, the Recaro seats. They blacked out all the chrome, the Penta wheels, even the exhaust, the little fin on the back here. And what I love about this, you and I were just talking about this. I love that, the cell phone, right? You were a true baller in '83 if you had a cell phone in your car.
Oh yeah, that's early days.
This does need a little restoration, which it's going to be done this year. But you know, this car is special. It really is special because it's hard to find one of these that's fully converted. The whole thing, which was done in Germany in '83.
All the badges, everything.
All the badges. And one little funny fact that you and I were sharing: to convert this car in '83, you would have had to have bought this in Europe, because it's a 500 SL. You couldn't get these in the United States. But to send it to AMG and convert it was roughly $220,000 US in '83 money. So
which
again,
is mad. 40 years ago.
Yeah, 40 years ago, considering what...
a lot more now.
A lot more now, for sure.
So the last of the AMGs, I said at the beginning, we needed to come and explain this with the design, the DMs.
You probably don't want to get too close to the car because you may, we may offend some people. But so I get probably 10 DMs a week of people asking for money. I am in finance, so I do own finance companies, and I have fun with it. But these are all DMs of people asking me for ludicrous requests for money. Everything from I want to move my girlfriend across country. Can I borrow $2,000? To I want to buy a PlayStation.
Or a trip to Disneyland.
A trip to Disneyland. I need money for a trip to Disneyland. So I thought, you know, I like to be different. And this year for Gold Rush Rally, a friend of mine is actually driving this for me. I won't be in this car, but I figured no one has ever done a DM wrap. No one. I don't believe anybody has done a DM wrap. So this is the first DM wrap in rally history, I believe.
That's quite a fun idea. So let's get to the Novitecs. You have a trio of N-Largos.
I do, and you know N-Largos as well too, right?
I do. I spent a lot of time visiting Novitec in Germany.
You've been to the factory, which that's a bucket list for me, by the way, to go there. I'll start off, well, first, what I love about the N-Largos are they're extremely well crafted for a wide body car. There's no bolts, what you typically see with some other manufacturers. Everything is made to enhance the car, not just for aesthetics, but it's wind tunnel tested. It's meant to improve the performance of the car. And frankly, it just goes with the car. I think personally, what they've done to widen it, the styling, really hits home with me. It really makes it, like for instance, the 488 looks like a GT3 in some respect. I mean, it does have the GT3 mirrors, which I put on it. Those are real GT3 mirrors.
That's so cool.
But if you look at it, it's almost like a GT3. If you look at the styling here.
Yeah. I mean, they're very wide.
They're very wide.
Kind of 5 inches or more wider than standard.
Correct. So I fell in love with the brand, starting with the F12, which I did not build that. I did buy that from somebody. This was my first introduction to the brand, and I fell in love with it. And this is very special because this is the first. This is the first N-Largo they've ever done.
Yeah, the F12.
Through the F12. And then they came out with the F12 Novitec S, if you remember that. Slightly, a little more extreme than this. But this car is timeless to me, just simply for what it is, and it was the first one they did. And you'll hear later, but it's extremely loud, extremely loud. The loudest I have in my whole collection. And then, of course, this is the one that you had the pleasure of driving. We drove together with your Ford GT.
And there are some cool details about this as well.
There is.
The way, I mean, you obviously ordered the 720S.
Correct. So I ordered this car fully with pretty much every MSO option you can do, only to take most of it off and replace it with Novitec. So that's the running joke. I wanted to do a spec on this that was quite unique. So the first thing is the paint here is a paint option that is the same paint spec for the SLR McLaren.
Okay.
And the only, to my knowledge, as it was explained to me, the only McLaren this was offered on, aside from the special project with the SLR, is the P1. So the story goes, when I was at the dealership looking at colors to do this car, there was an actual P1 there with this spec, and I said, that's the spec that I want. Particularly because I also wanted this blue, they call this visceral blue.
Yep.
And so I think in the sunlight, with the way this shines, it really brings out the blue in this car, which I wanted to pop.
It's like a multi-layer silver metallic.
Correct.
You get that pearlescent, the brights, very bright silver into the dark grays.
And it brightens this up, you can see some of the accents on here. It really shines in the sunlight.
That's a cool car.
Yeah.
And then, not a bad trio. So shall we take a listen to some?
I think we should.
What should we start? It's almost unfair to say this, but modern regulations make it harder. I think we should start with the GT Black Series.
I think we should, because I haven't heard it. I don't think anybody has heard it, actually, to be honest with you. So this will be a special one to start up.
Let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go.
Let's take a listen then to, well, the sound of 1,060 horsepower of GT Black Series, as it is at the moment. I like that with the orange details. So let me come around to this side. Pretty loud. What do you think?
It's much better than stock. Much better than stock.
Nice.
I'm quite impressed.
Is that the first time you've heard it since it was stock?
It is the first time I've heard this since it was stock. And you know how these cars are stock. It's, I think arguably a little more
it lost
a little more loud. I think people wished for when I got these, but I'm quite impressed. That is, what do you think?
Well, wait until you hear driving it at some point, and you'll enjoy the cracks and the fireballs basically that come out of the back.
That is, what a world of difference. Because I had the pleasure of driving this car on the West Coast when I first got it, and that was my only gripe about it. A little soft in the ears.
It's too focused on the interior piped sound, speaker sound.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, now it sounds proper. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. Until the only problem is if we now start the F12.
Well, the problem is it's going to ruin that. Yeah. So, which is a smart decision. We did that first.
We got to do it.
Do you have your earplugs?
Well, my question is, how far away do I need to stand?
I think that's the proper distance, but you could always back up if it gets too droning.
We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. Ready and waiting.
Wait a minute.
Pulling a trick on here. He's got the windows closed because he knew he was going to do that. That's brutal.
Yeah, you know, I spared you because I had it on sport mode, and that's why on the initial startup it was a little soft, but I quickly switch it to race mode.
I figured when you closed the door that you knew something.
Yeah.
And you knew what was coming with that.
Yeah. What'd you think?
It's the noise of these things, the noise that Novitec get out of the Ferrari V12 engine is amazing to begin with.
Yeah.
But the way that Novitec do that is just...
Yeah. I mean, this is straight piped, and there's nothing, as you know, there's nothing like this sound on the open road.
Yeah.
I mean, driving by, it's like an F1 car.
The first time I experienced one was quite a long time back. It was actually the first time I rode on board an N-Largo F12 was the first time I saw the SLS Black Series that I now own.
The exact same one?
The exact same car.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so I bought that car 6 years later.
Well, that's some irony.
I like a story.
Yeah,
I like, you know, you feel, I'm sure the same. That's just silly.
Yeah. I mean, the presence on this car, particularly with just black and gold is kind of the paint scheme, but it's just so aggressive. I don't think there's anything else like it, you know. When you see this on the road, people just don't understand how to comprehend it. They don't know what it is, you know. They just don't. So,
decision made then. We're going to take the 720S if that's okay.
I think that's the proper decision.
Let's do it. So I'm going to take a listen to the start of this, which I know is also a pretty wild sound.
It is it's actually I think a good in between the Black Series and the F12.
It's a good, like quite high-pitched V8. Oh, I like this. I like your coffee table, by the way.
Oh, the coffee table. Yeah.
That's nice. I have an obsession with engine coffee tables.
Yes.
Every proper garage needs one.
It does. It does. All right.
Cool, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Also, N-Largo 3, N-Largo 1, N-Largo 2, N-Largo 3. So with the light in here, so let's get the door open. That is wide, very wide. Oh. Almost can't hear myself talk.
What do you think? Good in between?
I like the sound. I like the sound a lot. All right,
I think
cool.
it's how it should sound.
Dash into race.
All right.
Oh my goodness. Definitely feeling the forces. You can tell that there is a soft thump to those gear shifts. There we go.
There we go. That's
like
the proper downshift to this car.
That's what it's about, isn't it? The view in the 720S is amazing. Have that behind. So you've done a lot of miles with this car.
I have. Gold Rush, Fuel Run.
Fuel Run. Just enjoyed it, driven it as it was.
Actually on a NASCAR track.
Okay, cool. You like driving it with the screen down?
I do.
Race car feel.
I do. Even on my cars that I drive on a daily basis, I like to drive them Sport Plus.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the wannabe race car driver in me.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's always more exciting, right? A little bit more sound and a little more feel.
It is.
It's how the cars were engineered to be enjoyed the most.
They were. This car is actually quite comfortable to drive in.
I mean, it's really comfortable.
It's not like the SVJ.
No. SVJs are a great way to feel like you have a very sore back very quickly, but you drive a lot of miles in them.
I do. I do.
A lot of miles in your cars.
You know, I think the SVJ has almost 13,000, and I got it in the middle of 2020.
Okay.
It was actually the last Lamborghini to make it out of Italy before Italy shut down on a boat to come here. So I lucked out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I've driven it on 3 rallies now.
Cool. I think people who like their SVJs really like their SVJs.
I have to agree.
It seems to be like a pattern you often see with that car because there's not much like it. You know, whether you're just cruising around, whatever it might be, it stands out so much.
Well, and what I love about it is I never understood Lamborghinis. That's my first Lamborghini, the SVJ.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't get it until I drove one. And there's something about the single clutch
Yeah.
transmission, you know, that little bit of hesitation, it's raw, you know?
So it's kind of like, because it's not perfect, you like it.
Correct. And also, I ordered it with the race seats, and there's something about getting out of it when your back hurts. You feel like the car did its job, right?
Okay.
Particularly that car. Maybe others won't share that sentiment, but
It's such a funny way to look at it. I know where you're coming from.
You know, you feel like you've driven it properly.
Yeah,
and
it's part of the experience.
It's part of the experience.
Yeah, that's what it's about sometimes with these things.
I'd be curious to hear your perspective from the Senna, because
That's what I'm kind of interested more in now.
yeah, because people have, you know, said this is a cross between, you know, a Senna and,
I mean, visually, there are
visually,
Senna design cues for
yeah,
sure.
for sure.
And the Senna is loosely based on the 720S to begin with.
Correct.
Same engine and a development of the top and so forth. What a cool place.
Oh, a little marina here.
Beautiful.
What I'll do is we can turn this around this way and we can switch.
Quick little swap around.
Yeah.
Awesome. What a view. I'm not sure I've ever swapped car seats with a view like this. Okay, let me run around the back. Ah, nice details. Nice burbles.
All right.
So, whee. All right, handbrake off, into gear, manual. I might just pop it into sport on sport if you don't mind to start. ESC into dynamic. Need to probably put the lift up just to be doubly safe here. Watch out for the nose. Paranoid about these things. There we go.
Okay.
So, ease into it, get familiar with what we're doing.
Are you impressed with the sound?
We need to get up through the revs, yes. Though, I mean, the 720S, one of the biggest things about it to begin with was that it was never that visceral. It never had, I mean, you don't know from the standard car, but it was never very exciting in terms of the sound. So you need that little bit more.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the Senna is a different league because you hear all these rattles and you know, everything, because they took out all of the sound deadening. But in here, I'm assuming, let's drop it down. There we go.
Ooh, there we go.
Work out where they are. It's up towards about 2/3 of the way through the rev range.
It didn't take you long to discover that. See, even I'm learning something new because I never drive it in sport. I always drive it in track.
Yeah. Well, they're set up slightly differently. It depends what you want, obviously, the car to do.
Sure. Whoa, that's the best one all day. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was quite the explosion behind.
It sounds like someone with a shotgun behind you.
Yes.
Literally.
Just getting the car a little bit up to temperature, right? It's funny, it's interesting because it bangs less than the Senna does.
Bangs less than the Senna does.
Yeah, but I would say also quite unpredictably, which is a good thing because you don't want to know that, like in a Hurricane, you downshift and it goes pop, 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 bang, and you know it's going to do it every single time. It's just what the car does. Where in here, I'm not quite sure what it does yet. There's a little bit of learning that's needed to see that, to understand that.
There we go.
And that's obviously with the windows fully up.
There we go.
Gosh. Yeah, okay,
I think you figured it out.
Starting to learn it. Woo, holy.
There we go. You have a whole army behind you.
Yeah.
Woo.
There we
I
go.
think we made up for it.
Yeah, we definitely made up for it. It's exactly how you do it. You can kind of hold it a little bit in first gear and then wait for it.
Woo. There we go.
I found the sweet spot. It's a gentle build up of the throttle, and then a shift and lift off, and then you get the massive boom out of it. Try this once more. It's going to be quite loud with the windows down, so gently build it up, gently build it up. Oh, and then I completely missed it.
Oh man, okay.
Failed.
We'll give you a second chance. Woo! Oh, that hurt. That hurt.
We have returned. All right. What a cool car. Thank you for the drive.
My pleasure.
That was a fun experience.
And I learned something new.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool
Driving
thing,
the car in sport mode, you'll get more pops, generally.
It just changes. You know, like in a Ferrari, for example, it won't do that. The
Right.
shifts are faster in race mode or in CT off or something, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's one of the ways McLaren's always set it up. Like sport is your kind of road character mode, and track is your full-on race mode. And they just behave slightly differently. But yeah, good fun.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Back at base, N-Largo 720S parked up, and I tell you what else we haven't really talked about yet, is how everything is presented, and something that always inspired me in terms of the Schmuseum was to look at different garages and the way people do it. You know, the checkered flag style flooring, to all of the things that are around the walls, the painted sides with the Ferrari logo, and then over on the opposite wall, the Mercedes side of things, the lights and graphics and things and pictures up on display around all of the cars. But quite unusual to find a collection of eclectic, heavily modified cars like this. So a big thanks to Kris for the opportunity to come down today to head out as well for a drive in the N-Largo 720S, and no doubt we'll be catching up again before long on the road somewhere, perhaps a rally, perhaps a road trip, who knows. For today though, awesome. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Do check out Team LoanSharks for plenty of the activities and rallies and things they get up to as well, with a link down below. But that's it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.